18? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 18, text 12. Anishtam, Misram, Cha, Trividam, Amana, Phalam, Bhavati, Atyaginam, Pritya, Na, So, Sanyasam, Vache, Anishtam, Ishtam, Nisram, Cha, Srividam, Kamana, Phalam, Bhavati, Atyaginam, Pritya, Lato Sanyasimam Pache, Anishtam, Ishtam, Misram, Cha, Srividam, Karmana, Phalam, Bhavati, Atyaginam, Pritya, Lato Sanyasinam Pache, Anishtam, Ishtam, Misram, Cha, Srividam, Karmana, Phalam, Bhavati, Atyaginam, Pritya, Nato Sanyasinam Pache. Translation in Purple by His Divine Grace, see what we learn as one Shloka King. What translation? Anishtam, leading to hell. Ishtam, leading to heaven. Mishram, mixed. Cha, and Trividam, three kinds. Kamandi, of works. Phalam, the result. Bhavati, for those who are not renounced. Pritya, after death. Na, not. To, but. Sanyasinam, for the renounced order. Kwache, at any time. Translation. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. Please read. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have not such results to suffer or enjoy. Happen. A person in Krishna consciousness acting in knowledge of his relationship with Krishna is always liberated. Therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer the results of his acts after death. Oh, that's a short part. We go to the other next step. Prachitam Mahabaho Karanam Nido Liboda Almighty Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of this from me. Purport. A question may be raised that since any activity performed must have some reaction, how is it that the person in Krishna consciousness does not suffer or enjoy the reactions of work? That the Lord is citing Vedanta philosophy to show how this is possible. He says that there are 5 causes for all activities, and for success in all activity, one should consider these 5 causes. Sankhya means the stock of knowledge, and Vedanta is the final stock of knowledge, accepted by all leading acharyas. Even Sankara accepts Vedanta Sutra as such. Therefore, such authority should be consulted. The ultimate control is invested in the Supersoul, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Shiham Yudi Sanvishtaha. He is engaging everyone in certain activities by reminding him of his past actions, and Krishna conscious acts done under his direction from within yield no reaction, either in this life or in the life after. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Salakaya Sakshu Kumbritam Yena Tasman Shri Guru Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mahavustam Savitam Nirabhutale Swayam Rupa Param Param Piswa Parantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Guru Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. For one who is not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed accrue after death, but those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. So, here is the perfection of renunciation. Persons, Krishna is trying to explain here what actually happens to persons who are not Krishna conscious, or persons who desire, or their own desires to satisfy their own whims, to satisfy their, their bodies, family, and whatever, they have, their profession, whatever their businesses, and so this is the reason why, Prabhupada always, or the acharyas have always insisted that we should always be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Our thoughts, mind, everything, activities, they should be geared or rendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that at the end of time, at the end of life, because it's a practice. That is what you are practicing. When you are passing away, if you're still thinking of, like the Kamis, you're still thinking of, your big building, your businesses that, connections or properties. I used to say at one time that there was this rich man who was, going to die. And the doctors, they had given him, some short period of time. And he was explaining to the doctor, can you please extend my lifetime? Can you please extend my life? So Prabhupada is saying, what nonsense is this? Because I have some programs, I have some, issues, some, things that I needed to accomplish before I die. But, Prabhupada, says, what nonsense is this? Because he is still so much attached or attracted to his, activities, mundane activities, trying to, finish whatever, buildings or whatever, businesses that he had. And as such, he becomes binded. He's not freeing himself, because this guy properly is mentioned. He's dying thinking of his material activities, his whatever he's leaving behind. Oh, I did not finish this. So due to the nature, due to the he dies. He dies thinking of his building, and proper say he might come as a cockroach or a rat. There's this story of Prabhupada, where he says of a cobbler. There was a cobbler, and he passed away. He died, and then he came back, as a human being. Fortunately for him, and as he was, he grew older. Sometimes he was going around. And then all of a sudden, he said, because sometimes we get our previous, some people are fortunate that they can still have, think of, they can know of their past, life. So this guy, while he was passing, he noticed that, somehow I used to live in this house, and he could, remember his children, and, so he went inside, knocked the door, and, he said, this was my house, and the kids were like, hey, our daddy passed away a long time ago, and you're claiming him to be our daddy. So they start throwing, the shoes on him and chasing him away. So this is our predicament, in this material world, that if we, we pass on, we die in a state of thinking our mundane activities, then, fortunate for the cobbler, he came as a human being and, got his lesson the hard way. He learned his lesson the hard way that, the kids had already forgotten him, though his kid was conscious of this very house and this very family. But this is a useless, that's why I say vanity of vanity. It's all vanity, it's all a useless endeavor when we, act in a very material, way, just to, satisfy or, make family happy or, try to prove yourself to be, this, special personality or a great leader or, a great person in the society. So we have to, come repeatedly, either, fortune property, come as a human being, or, some great personalities, they end up being like, animals or such. So for those who are not, Krishna conscious, then this is what this is what happens to them, because they still, they still have their plans of, doing whatever they wanted to do, and then, undesirables, whatever they, couldn't do, or, they pushed away. And then, all the mixed, they always come to haunt them. And as such, when they die, then, they have to suffer the reactions. Because, for every action we do, we know there is an opposite and equal reaction. So, but for, the devotees, but those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. And why is that? Because they are always constantly thinking of Krishna. Because at the time of death, while you are dying, hopefully, we'll be thinking of, serving Krishna, I'm dying, thinking of serving. Because that is the mode of that's why we are practicing Krishna consciousness. That's why we are supposed to be chanting, engage ourselves in devotional service. Sometimes I feel so bad when I go to pick flowers, but but if you think of it as like enter into the pastimes of Krishna, the Leela, then it becomes so sweet. It doesn't feel like it's a burden anymore, because you are doing it for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of God. So all these activities, you might be going to the market, maybe you are a male, and you feel like this is not a male, a man's activity is supposed to be maybe a woman, or you might be going to get water for Krishna, you are a man. Traditions sometimes they always play a big role in all these activities. But as much as such, if you are thinking, you are doing this service for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of God, then it doesn't bother you so much. And at the same time, you free yourself from these, activities. So whatever we do in Krishna consciousness is freeing us, is liberating us from, the repeated birth, the samsara, the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. And this is, what we are supposed to be freeing ourselves from. So all of our activities in Krishna consciousness are bent on trying to liberate us, to free us from this material engagement, from material attachment. And then Prabhupada is mentioning about, the various, scriptures, Vedantas, that has been, given out to us. And this knowledge is, for liberation again, for freeing us. We are following the great acharyas, the parampara system. And, here we have, Krishna, instructing Arjuna on how to free himself, from what, it's not like most people, want to think that, we're supposed not to work, we're just supposed to stay there. Krishna is mentioning that even to maintain your body, you have to work. So just for, maintaining, keep your body, fit, you have to do some activities. But at the same time, those activities, they should not just to keep your body happy, other than it should be for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality. You keep your body fit, but for the sake of satisfying, serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Point in case is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his this one Goswami, who was coming to see him, and then on the way he got he touched some water, or came across some water which was contaminated, and then he had some Sanatan Goswami, he had some boils, something like boils, or on his body. And so he was like, he felt like so much, unattachable. Yeah, normally it's untouchable.
He wants to die.
Yeah. Yes. So because of those, sickness, he was afraid of going to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so whenever he used to go to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go and embrace him, and he used to feel like, so much untouchable. Like he was so much offensive to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so he was, thinking that, I just finished myself, I just go commit suicide and die instead of, me showing up in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this state. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being, the Supreme Personality of God, he understood his thinking. And he told him, when he came to meet him, this was like his last time. I'm just going to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then go, drown myself in the ocean. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually admonished him, chastised him. He was telling him, this is not your body anymore. This is my body, this is the body of Krishna, because it's for serving the Supreme Personality of God, and not for your own, satisfaction or your own, thinking. And as such, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu liberated or freed him from this disease or whatever was, attacking him. So we say, once we engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness or these activities of serving the Supreme Personality of God, then we are free, we are free from any, reactions. And as such, when you die in such state, then, you go back home, back to God. So it's, I mean, just hoping that, because also Prabhupada mentioned that at the point of death, it's such a painful experience that you don't know what you are, don't know what is happening. But, hopefully because of our engagement in Krishna consciousness, association with the devotees, and etc., it will be an easy way to go. And, Krishna has also, promised us in the, in this last chapter, that, we should abandon all religion and, just surrender unto, and He will protect us. So we should have faith that Krishna will always protect, or He's always protecting us, and we should endeavor so much by, mercy of the acharyas, taking instructions from the acharyas, because they are the ones who have, given us this knowledge from the, Vedas. Is like a whole storehouse of knowledge, and from all these different kinds of, knowledge that is found in the Vedas. They have, gotten this cream of Veda, and then, Vedanta. So this is like the conclusion of all the Vedic scriptures. So we should also appreciate them, take their instructions seriously, engage ourselves in the services of Krishna consciousness, and hopefully we'll be free from material contamination, and go back home, back to God, which is our endeavor. I'm sorry, I'm not. Any comments, please? Comments or questions? Yes, please.
You just mentioned about the past life. Some people can think about the past life.
Yes.
What I feel, forget the past life, the present life. Okay? The present life, like I am 76 or 75. 50 years back, that past life comes back to you. Like the past life of the past life. But in the present life, my past life of 50 years comes back to me with an illusion or hallucination. So, when a person is in a deathbed, and then he thinks about the past years that have gone by, he regrets, and he thinks that I didn't do this or I didn't do that. I think, I don't know, I feel that way.
Yes.
That, I feel that, personally,
Yes.
that my present life, I don't think about the past life,
Yes.
my present life, which is I think about that, it comes into my illusion, I hope, also, whatever it is.
Yes, that's true.
It is connected.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yes. No. I mean, they say when you're dying, I mean, the life you have gone through, like you see it like on a television, it plays, like, so sometimes maybe there are things you desire to do, undesirable things, they all come and still haunt you. You understand? So it is placed like that.
But it also happens due to the mercy of the God,
Yes.
that you realization at the deathbed what you have done
Yes.
in your this
Sure.
life past years,
Yes.
which you supposed not to do.
Yes.
It regret. There is no solution.
Yes.
Apart from regression, because you have not done solve the purpose of the life.
That's what is being explained. That's why I said the desirable and desirable. It replaced, and I mean, you are just regretting there. You are just like, what can you do?
Nothing.
You cannot do anything because it's end of time. And if you are Krishna conscious, then if whatever you'll be thinking is about Krishna, so that will be freeing you. That will be freeing you.
How to console yourself?
Okay, yeah.
When you regret at the time of death, that is also you will get another body which cannot disturb you what for you are regretting. Because already you are regretting for the your
Whatever,
past
yeah,
life.
yes,
At the
yes.
time of death, then you will get the body
Yes.
in which
Certain.
those things will not disturb you again.
That is if
It's
you
also
are.
beneficial.
Okay.
Regretting at the time of death is also beneficial.
Okay.
That is also a good sign.
No, चोर जो है माफी मांग लिया. If he surrender himself to the government, so his punishment is minimized. Immediately, that is the law.
Yes.
If thief is surrenders himself, like you kill and you went to in the prison, just telling to I have done this, so immediately they will reduce your punishment. But when you are to keep on trying, I have not done this, I have not done, then
The more punishment you get.
will go on. So at time of death, regretting is also realizing even in the last
Yes.
moment you have done the wrong thing, this thing, but you will get benefit. But not in that way when you are doing that time you have stopped and you can be Krishna conscious at that time, that is more beneficial.
Yes.
But at time of death, when you remember, you are regretting I have done this, I am supposed to do this,
Yes.
still there is some benefit in there.
Hare Krishna. Tara Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki. Oh, glory to somebody.